Okay, here we go. So today we are starting Unit 4, which is linear equations, and we're starting with slope from a graph as part A, and then the second half of this video will be part B, which is going to be from the formula. So here we go. So we're going to talk about rate of change, which is really in reference to a lot of word problems. It is a ratio that shows how one variable changes with respect to another. On a linear graph, notice it's a line, so therefore the shape of all of these are going to be a line. This is called the slope of the line. Slope and rate of change are the same thing. They are interchangeable. They have the same definition. Okay, slope is written as a ratio of the vertical change, which is the rise, which is your y information, to the horizontal change, which is your run, which is the x between any 2 points on a line. Any 2 points. This remains constant. Okay, notice 2 points between here and here, here and here, or here and here. For any 2 points on the same line. So like I said, it could go from this point to this point to this point, or from here to here. It should be the same. Slope is written as a fraction in simplest form. You always must simplify your fraction, okay? The variable for slope is m. If you remember from last year, you always remember me talking about m is rise over run, or the change in y over the change in x. This part we'll talk more about in the second half of this video. All right, now let's kind of review the different types of slope, okay? As it goes uphill, as you read from left to right, okay? So I call this uphill. This is positive. Now remember, it's always from left to right. And this is going downhill. As you read from left to right. So this is negative. And then we have the 2 special cases, which is straight horizontal. And when I think about this one, this is a 0 slope, okay, because it has 0 rise over some number run. And the last one is vertical. And this has rise, plenty of unlimited rise, but it has 0 run. So when it has a 0 in the denominator, this is called undefined. All right, let's work a couple of examples, okay? Big thing to remember. And it says the slope, that is rise over run. So I'm going between 2 points. Here's 1 point, here's another point. I want to know how much do I rise. Remember, I'm calculating the rise over the run. So rise, I'm going to go from to where I get level with this point. So that means I want to go up to here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops, 7 boxes, not the lines. How many loops or how many boxes I move up? That's 7. And then how much do I have to move to how much do I have to run? I went up, so that's a positive 7. I'm going to the right, so that's a positive 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is 7/4. And I can tell right off, if I look at this, this is going uphill. So I know before I do any calculations that this is a positive slope. So if I end up with a negative, I need to go back and check myself. All right, looking at number 2. First off, I notice it's going downhill, so I can say right off, this should be a negative answer. I'm still doing rise over run, so I find the 2 points here and here. So I'm going to go from left to right. You don't have to, but I want to get level. I'm moving from this point to this point, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, because I want to get level here. So I'm going down, so that's a negative 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is not simplified. We have to simplify this. So I'm dividing by 3 to everything. So this is going to give me a negative 1/3 as my slope. Number 3, when I'm looking at this, if I can realize I go from here to show my work, my rise, I have no rise, so that's 0. My run to go between the 2 points, 1, 2, 3, 4. Since the 0 is in the top, a 0 divided by 4 equals 0. So therefore, the slope is 0. Number 4, again, I'm looking at my rise over my run. My rise to go the 2 points that it gave me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the run is 0. The 0 is in the denominator, so that means my slope is going to be undefined. Right. And that's the end of the first half of this slope lesson. If you want to pause it and work that rest of this notes page, you're welcome to, or you can continue on to the second half. This is where we're using the slope formula. And the slope formula we did a little bit with last year as well. Things to remember. When I write this triangle, that means the change in, which means I'm subtracting. Because what I'm doing, my actual formula that they give you on the formula chart is M equals y2 minus y1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. The 2 points are just the 2 points that they give you, okay? Notice I'm subtracting the y values. That means I'm doing the change in y over subtracting the x values, the change in x. This is why in my brain, I tend to think about this, which helps me to remember the formula. Now, it really doesn't matter which point is first. I just always do it in order as, okay, this is the first point I read. This is the second point I read. So therefore, this is going to be x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. And I'm plugging it into my formula. So I write the formula down. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x sub 1. And now we plug in. So I'm going to have M equals 3 minus 1 over 4 minus 1, which gives me 3 minus 1 is 2. 4 minus 1 is 3. So therefore, my slope is 2/3. Okay, next problem. Again, this is point 1. This is point 2. So I'm plugging into the formula, the change in y over the change in x. So I'm going to be doing 10 minus 4, because this is x, this is y, this is x, this is y, and I just made the most common mistake. I flip-flopped my x's and my y's, and this is why it's important to write the letters on top, because I put the 10 when it's an x when I'm supposed to have the y here. You got to change this to the -2. You got to remember to use your integer rules now when we're working these. So now I'm going to have the 10 minus -2. So when I'm plugging it in, plug it in parentheses because that's a double negative there. And now I follow my integer rules. The double negative becomes a plus, so I have -2 minus 4. Those are both negative, so I'm going to actually add, so that's a -6 over 12, and that simplifies to -1/2 as my slope. Okay, jumping down to number 5. Again, number your formula, label your numbers if you need to. So this is x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. We plug into our formula, and the slope is the change in y over the change in x. So my y values, I'm doing 9 minus 9 over 3 minus 5, which that's going to give me 0 over negative 2, which equals 0. And last but not least, here we go. We have x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. And now we continue the change in y over the change in x. And notice I'm writing the formula, or a form of the formula, in every problem. And simplified it so it's easier. So I have 5 minus 8 over negative 7 minus negative 7. And when I'm plugging in a negative number, I put it in parentheses. Double negative becomes the plus, so I have negative 3 over negative 7 plus 7, 0. Up, the 0 is in the denominator, so therefore my slope is undefined. Okay, flipping it over to the back of this page, which is where we're going to be given the slope and a point and have to find a missing value. Okay, so we're kind of what we call working backwards. So in this scenario, you must complete the ordered pairs using a given slope. So for this example, if the slope of the line passing through these 2 points is negative 4 over fifths, find y. So I'm going to use my formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And I'm going to go and I'm going to label. So this is going to be x sub 1, y sub 1. This is going to be x sub 2, y sub 2. I'll just label that as y. And plug in our numbers. Okay, so we now plug in numbers. That's what we're going to do. And this is m. So I plug that in for m. So I'm going to have negative 4 over 5 equals, now I'm going to have y minus 6 all over 5 minus negative 5. And now I simplify. So I have negative, I'm going to move up a little bit because I'm probably going to start working down now. So we have negative 4 fifths equals y minus 6. That's a double negative, so that becomes a big plus. So this is going to become over 10. Now, this is a proportion at this point. So now I'm going to multiply diagonally. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with negative 40 equals 5y minus 30. And if you don't know where that comes from, that's because I'm doing the 5 times y minus 6. And now we solve. So I'm going to add 30 to both sides. Negative 10 equals 5y. Divide by 5, and we get that y equals negative 2. Okay. Let's work one more of these. Number 13. All right, first things first. Oops, this is not written as a fraction. Make it into a fraction. Because it's a whole number, I put it as 2 over 1. So remember, we're plugging into the formula, m equals y2 minus y1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. This is x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So now we plug it in. So I'm going to have 2 over 1 equals, smaller here. Didn't end up being small. That's okay. 6 minus negative 2 all over x minus negative 3. So when I look at this, I see double negatives. So those become big pluses. Okay, so now I'm going to have 2 over 1 equals 8 over x plus 3. And now I solve my proportion. So I'm going to have 8 equals 2 open parentheses x plus 3, which is 8 equals 2x plus 6. Subtract 6, and I get 2 equals 2x. Divide by 2, and 1 equals x. Your assignment for today is to finish the notes for all, and then tomorrow we'll do the tic-tac-toe, and the classwork homework. Have a great day. Bye.